Time can kill deals. I mean, literally. And on today's episode, my guest Tim Rohrer is going to share a story how he lost a deal because he waited too long. You're not going to want to miss this one. Check it out. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, I have a fantastic guest. His name is Tim Rohrer. Tim actually and I connected. He is the author of a book that you should definitely check out. It's called Sales Lessons of the World's Greatest Mentor. And Tim breaks down his experience in this book, working with one of his greatest mentor, individual that's helped him throughout his life, his professional life, and guided him. And these principles are powerful no matter what you sell, whether you sell complex software solutions or you're selling a house. Principles here apply. Now, as we dive into this episode, Tim breaks down three reasons why time kills deals. He tells stories with that. And that story at the beginning is going to pull you in. And then he's going to break down and give you a couple ideas of how you can make sure you don't fall into those gaps. If this is your first time listening to our podcast or watching one of our videos, subscribe. Now, we'll notify you every time we have a new episode. Also, take this link and share it with one other person who could find benefit from it. I know you're going to love it. As we dive in, you'll get a chance to hear a little bit more about Tim. You'll also get a chance to hear this amazing story and how it leads straight into how time kills deals. Let's go ahead and dive in. Tim, welcome to the show.
Good to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course, I'm looking forward to this. I think, sometimes time could be a bad thing. Too much time could be a bad thing. And, if I leave my milk out on the counter too long, I can have issues. So you want to, I think today I'm excited to see how this applies to sales. And what are some of those things that I may be doing that's killing my deals and ways that we can fix that. But before we dive in, Tim, I bragged about you a little bit in a teaser. Why don't you tell us a little bit deeper about what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I wrote a book called Sales Lessons of the World's Greatest Mentor. And it really was a thank you to my mentor, Dick Harlow. So Dick Harlow came along at a time when I really needed somebody to nurture me and coach me and, put their arms around me and tell me everything was going to be all right. We could go into it more if you want, but it was a very, very rough time for me. And I was grateful to have somebody who really cared about me. And I never forgot the lessons that Dick taught me. And when I had a chance to write a book to tell people about those lessons, I really wanted to do it, but I wanted to do it mostly to thank Dick for all that he did for me. And it's been great because we've reconnected after 30 years of not seeing each other. We went golfing together. It was awesome. And we're talking about ways that we might be able to do some work together, maybe do some speaking engagements. And so what I do now is I talk to small to medium-sized businesses about their sales processes, and I try to teach them some of the things that Dick taught me so that they get better results. And I'm super excited to be talking to you about it today.
Love it. So let's go into that. Let's talk about a problem here at hand. Deals killing, time can kill deals. Why?
Yeah.
Why is that so bad?
Yeah. So, well, I'll tell you how I learned this lesson.
Sure.
I was in radio advertising sales in Charlotte, North Carolina, and part of my job was to go out during the day and do prospecting. And back then, the way we did prospecting, we just walked into people's businesses and said hello. And I went into this Sherwin-Williams paint store and I saw a guy up on a ladder stocking paint, which is kind of funny because if you've ever been to a paint store now, they don't stock paint, right? They make paint in the store.
Yeah.
Whereas everything is a base and then you just pick your color. So there's not cans and cans of paint, 15 feet high like there was back in 1992. So I go in the Sherwin-Williams store and this guy's up on a ladder and he says, "Can I help you?" And I figured he was probably the owner. And I said, "Yeah, I'm with Magic 96 Radio. And I was out talking to some of my current customers and prospecting for new ones. So I thought I'd come in here and talk to you about your business." And this was just the way we did it back then, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't work so much now because people expect you to know about their business before you get there. And certainly you should know, right? You've got the internet and you can do all the research you want to learn everything there is to know about an industry. And even about people's specific businesses. But back then, you would just go have a conversation with a business owner. And that's what I was trying to do. And so I'm having this conversation with the Sherwin-Williams owner, and we're talking about paint and we're talking about advertising. And he says, tell you what, Tim, work me up something for 2,500 bucks. And I was like, yep, absolutely. I said, tell you what, listen, John, the way it works is I'm going to go back to the radio station. I'm going to get the best minds available to brainstorm about your particular situation. And I am going to custom build a $2,500 schedule. And I'm going to come back in here maybe 3 days from now, and we're going to review it. And then you're going to sign up, and then we're going to take you to the station. We're going to cut some commercials, and then we'll get you on the air. What do you say? He says, sounds good. See you on Friday. Because this was like Tuesday.
Yeah.
So I go back to the station, and I gather the best minds, right? And I work on this proposal. And sorry, these dogs are barking in the background now.
Yeah.
And then I finish it up in about a day, right? And so now it's just sitting in a folder on my desk. And I remember that Dick came by on Wednesday morning. He was on his way to the programming department, and he saw me. He says, what's going on, Timmy? Now, Dick was only the second adult male that I ever let call me Timmy, the first being my father. I'm not quite sure why it was okay with me. I was a grown man and he was calling me Timmy, but that, for whatever reason, it was fine. So he says, Timmy, what's going on? And I said, well, I just wrapped up this proposal for the Sherwin-Williams store, and I was going to go out and do some prospecting and see another customer. And he says, are you seeing the Sherwin-Williams store today? And I said, no, Friday. We have an appointment. And he's like, And then he took off to do whatever he was going to do. And I was like, should I be reading something into that? Well, yeah, it turns out I should have been reading something into it, because on Friday, I go to the Sherwin-Williams store and the bell dings and I see John coming out of the back room and he's wiping something off his hands, probably paint, right? And I said, John, and he's like looking over my shoulder, like he's expecting somebody else. I said, hey, it's Tim with Magic 96 Radio. Remember we were talking on Tuesday about a proposal? I brought it right here. It's in this folder. And he says, hey, Tim, listen, my hot water heater broke and it's going to cost me $2,500 to fix it. And I was kind of hoping you were the plumber. That's why I was looking over your shoulder when you came in the door. I'm afraid we're not going to be able to do that advertising schedule. And I was like, hey, no problem, John. Let's just schedule it for next month. And he's like, well, let's just put a pin in it and we'll revisit it. And we did not revisit it.
No.
And I went back to the radio station later on that afternoon. I was sitting in my little cubicle all dejected, and Dick wandered by and asked me if I drank some milk after the expiration date. And I said, no, this sour look is because the Sherwin-Williams deal didn't work out. And he said, why not? I said, well, the guy's hot water heater broke. It was just bad luck. And Dick told me it wasn't bad luck. He said it was predictable. He said, time kills all deals. You should have signed him up on the same day that he said he wanted to buy.
Come on.
And I said, Dick, how can I do that? You've told us that all of our proposals are customized, right? So I don't sell packages. I consult with people about their challenges, and then I bring in the best brains in the business, right? And I custom. I said, what happened to all that? And Dick said, come on. The guy's spending $2,500. He says, it's a lot of money for him. Maybe it's not that much money for us, right? So what you need to do is you need to have a template of different levels of spending. He says, so why don't you have a $2,500 template, a $1,500 template, and a $5,000 template in your briefcase? And then when a guy says to you, Timmy, work me something up for $2,500, you say to them, we customize all our proposals. However, I just did a $2,500 schedule for a guy down the road. He's getting great results. Can I show you that? And then maybe we can make adjustments as needed from there. And that would have worked because John would have said,
Oh,
yeah, show me. So then the trick there is you redact the name of the customer because there really is no customer because it's just a template, right?
yeah.
And so you've got the schedule and you've got potential additional things you're going to do on air, like maybe giveaways. And I don't know, you've got all kinds of things on there for $2,500. And you show him and you explain all the stuff. And maybe he wants to do one less morning drive and one more afternoon, or one more Saturday and one less Sunday, whatever. You just move him around, right? To cross this out. I
Little
can't
things
do
at
that.
that point.
And then you get him to sign it on the spot. Then you say, this is not our usual agreement form. I'm going to go back to the studio and create one. Why don't you come in tomorrow? We'll start working on your commercial and you can sign the formal agreement then, and we can go ahead and get the commercial ideas going and get you on the air next week. And that way you move the deal along quickly and don't let time kill it.
Come on. I bet you never did that again, huh?
I did not. I did not do that again. I created those templates, right? And I kept them in my folder. And, it turns out if somebody wants I don't know, if you're talking to somebody like a Chevrolet dealer, right? And
Sure.
they want to spend $20,000 a month for the next year, but they want a whiz bang proposal. Well, then you got to get the best minds together and you got to create a whiz bang proposal, maybe some PowerPoint, maybe some audio video, maybe a song and a dance even, I don't know. But then you're going to go there and you're going to have a big dog and pony show and you're going to make a presentation that's equal to the value of the commitment, but not for $2,500.
No, no. And you see, I think the relevance to that too, it ties back. Like it doesn't matter. Like sometimes in the software space, at times you find people saying, "Yeah, I need to sit down and customize a big demonstration." Can you create a quick $2,500 demonstration, like
Right.
equivalent? Can you do something? Can you just show me quickly what I need to do rather than being so rigid? Like we don't have to follow the dogma that's been set for everything. There's ways that you can do things smarter, and I think the power behind the story applies to so many things, even beyond the sales realm. But my goodness, that sure does. It sure does stick, though. It sure does help you.
That one stung. I'm not going to lie. That one stung. But Dick said to me, "Hey, it's just one deal. Come on, get out there and get another one."
Yeah. Well, let's go on to that. The idea. So you kind of addressed the first one. Why when they say yes, move forward. That's absolutely critical. Don't let anything hinder that process. The second point was around. I need to think about it. You have a way of handling this. Do you mind teaching us that part?
Yeah, you know what? This is something I learned from Tom Hopkins. I think he's been on your show, hasn't he?
Yeah, Tom's been on the show.
Tom is the best, man. I went to see a seminar. He was in Charlotte back when I was in
Uh-huh.
my early years in radio advertising. And we all went down to see Tom Hopkins at one of the venues there. And I remember this part of the seminar more than any other thing he said. I thought he was so funny too, by the way. Tom made his money in real estate.
Yep.
And so that's where he learned how to sell. And he said, when you're selling houses and you got the two decision makers there, maybe a husband and a wife, and they're both there and they both have looked at the house and they both express interest in the house, and you show them what it costs and you show them all the amenities and you show them the monthly price and you show them everything. When they say, this all looks pretty good, Tom, but I have to think about it, he says, warning lights should be flashing right here. Because if you let them go, their car may break down, their hot water heater may break. Time is going to kill this deal, right? You
Yeah.
cannot let them get away. He says, so when somebody says, I want to think about it, what you want to know is, well, which part of it are you going to think about? He says, so here's what you do. You say, that's great. Investing in real estate is a big deal. It's going to be the biggest investment you make in your whole life. And I think you should think about it. But so that I can help you, could you tell me maybe which part of it are you going to be thinking about? He says, then you say this. Then you say this. You say, is it the money? Because it's always the money. He says, but you don't know which part of the money it is. It could be the down payment is concerning them. It could be the monthly payment. It could be the interest rate. He says, but you've got to dig in. You got to find out what is it that they're going to be thinking about? He says, because what usually happens when somebody tells you that they're going to think about something is they think about it for as long as the two of you are together, and then they walk out the door and they quit thinking about it because now they start thinking about other things.
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to this idea of, probably nothing is going to, more than likely, nothing is going to change between them leaving. I guess what they're thinking about is not going to really change that much. It's
Right.
just you need to help them to just recognize that and to make the decision. That indecision, they can help talk themselves out of it, or like you said, something can come up, and will come up that's going to make them even go further away. Strike while the iron's hot, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
And maybe there's a
yeah, of
way that you can help them solve the problem, right? The chances are
course.
really good. By the time they get to the point where they're thinking about putting an offer on a home, they've already thought about all the money, right?
Yeah,
So you just need them to say it out loud one more time. You need for them to say, well, we don't have the complete down payment. Okay, well, if they say that, you know, if you're a real estate agent, maybe you've got some ways for them to put less money down on the house, right? In exchange for a higher interest rate, which might be a slightly higher monthly payment, but that they can afford that. They,
yeah,
they can't afford the down. So you have to ask more questions. Um, one of the greatest persons, one of the greatest salespeople ever at asking questions was Tom Freeze, who wrote a book called Question Based Selling. And
uh-huh.
Tom Freeze would say, just ask one more question, just ask one more question. And if you just keep asking questions, you'll get people talking about, ways that they can solve their problem.
Come on, man. I love this. So good. The third point I want to hear, for wrap up, decision makers. Um, Sometimes those decision makers are not in the room.
Right.
How do we handle that when it comes to the time, time, because we know time could kill the deals. How do we handle situations like this?
Right. So this is one of the trickiest things for a salesperson to handle. If the decision maker is not in the room, and for whatever reason they were forced to make a presentation to people who are influencers but not decision makers, you can't always just refuse to do it, right? You can't say, no, we're not going to have the meeting unless the big guy is in the room, because well, maybe the big guy's never in the room, right? Maybe the big guy's out of town, right? And it just doesn't work that way with this company. Maybe the way it works is you always meet with the influencers, and then the influencers gather all the different data together and they take it to another decision maker or a panel of decision makers. So in this case, I always encourage salespeople to improve their skills when it comes to written communication and presentations. Because what happens is you are the salesperson, but you're making a presentation to people who are going to become your future salespeople, because they are then going to take the information that you've delivered to them and they have to re-deliver it to the decision maker. And chances are really
Mm-hmm.
good they're not going to be as good as you at it. So you have
100%.
to find a way to make them be as good as they can possibly be. And the way to do that is to have just a killer written presentation. So you have a killer written presentation, you deliver it beautifully, you tell some stories, some anecdotes, some humor, you connect with them emotionally so that they remember your words. Then when they present it to the decision maker, they can recall your words and your intonation and your passion. And they can say, oh, this part here, Tim was really excited about this part here. He compared it to, beachfront property, or he compared it to buying Microsoft when Microsoft was, you know what Tim said, Tim said about this. Tim said, this is the next Google. That's what Tim said. So like, they have to be able to remember the key points. And
Yeah.
so two ways to remember the key points. One is it's written down. It's right there, right? You put together a really nice deck and they've got the key points right there. But then the other way they remember is the passion and emotion that you demonstrated during your presentation so they could recall it when they talk to the decision maker.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. This is awesome, man. So I'm a sales rep listening to this episode, and I got all inspired. I got pumped up.
I hope.
If there's one, If there's one thing you want me to leave with from this conversation, Tim, that's going to help me radically change like today, what's that one major piece of advice?
My one major piece of advice is to be ready to do business today with people who say yes. Do not wait till tomorrow. Do not go back and get all the big brains together. Have a way to move the sale forward when somebody says they would like to move the sale forward. Don't say, okay, we have to put it on pause, because that is death in sales. Don't put it on pause. Move it forward, right? Get the next commitment and the next commitment and the next commitment. And the more commitments you can get on the day then they're feeling like saying yes, then the more likely it is that you're really going to end up consummating that deal.
I have someone that said yes earlier today, and I told my team is going to get some stuff over to them. Screw that. After this today, I'm going to send a link. Forget that.
Yeah.
You got me. You got me. The guy was asking to sign up, and I told him that our team will send the stuff over. So I'm like, screw that. Let's go do it.
So, send it over now. Right. Like the best thing is if you're talking to somebody on the phone and you're in front of your computer and they say, I want to sign up. You say, I'm sending the link now. You send it. You say, do you have it? Did you get it? And
yeah.
They say, yes. You say, go ahead and click it. Okay. You see that part there? You fill in your name and your address and you go ahead and do that part. Now there's a part for a credit card. Go ahead and do that part.
Oh, done and done. Yeah. I not letting those slip by again, man. No, Tim, this was great. Folks are listening to this. They want to connect with you. They want to check out your book and so forth. What's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
So the easiest way is to go on my website, which is timjmrohrer.com. And Rohrer is spelled Rohrer. If they want to buy a copy of this book, it's available on Amazon exclusively. And they can either look up the title, which is Sales Lessons of the World's Greatest Mentor, or they can look up my name, Tim J.M. Rohrer, and they'll find the book. And then they can find me and we can start a dialogue.
Tim, amazing stuff. Thank you for taking the time to come on the show today. I appreciate you.
Donald, thank you so much for having me. It's been great. I enjoyed it.
That was Tim Rohrer. If you haven't done so already, check out his book. We have a link down below for the Amazon link, as well as to go connect with Tim on LinkedIn. Dude is a phenomenal storyteller. He has some amazing principles, and I recommend this book a lot. You can check it out. Get these principles and read about these principles and apply them. It's a game changer. Very simple but powerful strategies. Again, check it out. Tell Tim you heard him here on the Sales Evangelist podcast. And if this is your first time listening to our show, subscribe. Also, take this link, share it with one other person. Many individuals that we deal with are coming to our podcast for two reasons. One, they're trying to get bigger sales pipeline. We teach how we're going to help you to 3 to 5x your pipeline and how we're going to help you to double your deals. Every episode falls into that category. Now, if that sounds interesting to you and you need help building your pipeline, check out some of our upcoming programs as well as check out our LinkedIn prospecting course. It teaches you how to utilize LinkedIn, and we help you to generate at least 3 to 5 appointments per week using LinkedIn. Take advantage of that. Listen, time will kill your deal. Don't wait too long. Sign up for one of our programs. Check it out. Would love to have you. As always, raise your level of thinking. Go out and do big things. Thanks so much for watching.